What's up, everyone? Today there's a Toro super recycler on the table. It's an older model, but it's a pretty decent one. These are the aluminum, or I don't know, some type of deck. All I know is that it's most definitely difficult to weld on. And it's a rear-wheel drive. It has personal pace. So far, that's what we know. What we don't know is we don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on with it. But a couple other things that we know is this is not the engine that originally came with this deck. The engine that came with this deck is, I believe, a Briggs & Stratton that comes with a black cover, I believe. I could be wrong, but that's the ones I've seen. These are like on the ones that are, well, I don't want to say older, but they're more of a homeowner version. But if you are going to put a different engine on there, this is a pretty good one. Carb is completely nasty. Let's look at the oil. Oil is at the bottom of the ad, but it appears to be clean. Does it have fuel? Does have fuel? Haven't got a nasty whiff, so maybe it's not horrible. So like I said, I don't know what's going on with this. Never mind, it's got a whiff. But we're going to take a look at it, see what is going on. I think we're just going to go down the list. I'm going to prime it. If it doesn't prime, then we will prime it ourselves. See if it runs. I did tip it over. There's a blade, so we don't have to worry about that. If you don't know what that means, is these have a aluminum flywheel, and it needs the weight of the blade to kind of get the engine back through its motions. If it doesn't, you will probably have it kick back on you. It probably would run-ish, just not very well, and getting it started will be a giant pain. So let's go ahead and put you up. Oh, also looks like someone's replaced that. I know that because I buy the same cord. I believe it's a Stens or Oregon cord, one of the two. Well, let's see what's going on. Hopefully the noise isn't good too much on this one. There's a dryer running in the background. Apparently we need clean clothes. Moving forward. Prime it. When I got this, it didn't have the bail handle. I was worried that the cable was stuck. It's not. So I couldn't even try it. So this is going to be the first time we try anything. Kind of sounded like it wanted to go. Could just be hopeful thinking or wishful thinking. Probably is. I already did buy a card for it though. Well, good thing the carb I bought works good on a lot of different engines. Well, look, I do have another one that will be fitting on anyway. I think I found the problem though. This does not have any self-propel. So we're going to look at the cable, which seems a little odd. Let's take a look at the cable. The struggle is real trying to figure out how both of us see this, but this is my problem. This is the line. In order for it to do anything, this needs to have proper tension. It also has a spring on it. Now, that spring isn't really a spring, it's just kind of there to, I think, add a little extra springiness to it. But here's the thing. This should not be like that. So let us fix this. I kind of went over this in a different video, but this, let's just get this out of the way. You don't need to see that. This is the cable. Now when you press down on the handle, that cable gets taut. There's this little mechanism that pulls it. Now, in order for that to even work, this has to be not like this. I'll show you. To fix this, what we're going to do, it's pretty complicated, so get your pens and paper out. First of all, this is broken. Didn't even notice that till right now. It's an interesting way of fixing it though. Let me see if I have another one. Wouldn't you know it, I don't have one. So we're gonna do this the dirty way, and if it runs, we'll get the right piece. So ideally there'd be what is this washer. It's a piece of plastic that holds it in place and puts pressure on this. So holding the handle all the way back, we pull this taut so there's no slack in it whatsoever. Now, like I said, you pull the personal pace back, not down. Now you tighten it. Unfortunately, you're kind of in the way of travel of the personal pace handle, but we can at least do a little bit. Let's give it a little more cranking. Just a little. Is the cable stuck in any way? It does not feel like it wants to work very well for us. Could be seized in there, or it could be the fact that I squished down on too much. Nope, that's exactly where it was before. We have a bad cable. This is where the cable goes into, is a little cover. Bugs like to hide down here, so beware. So far we appear to be either too late or too early for them. So this is what I mean. That's the cable. It's definitely pretty gnarly looking. This whole thing is, I think I'm gonna vacuum it out like in there and all that. Put a little penetrating oil on it, if it has any left. There we go. Now, we might have to take the cable off and completely soak it. Do the top side too. Or it could be just garbage. I mean, we don't know. It's kind of looking like garbage. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take it out, disconnect it from the other side, just see if I can't pull it out, and go from there. If it is okay, then hopefully we can just spray a little lubricant down there. But if it's like too rusted and too far gone, it's splitting, it can't be saved. Good news, bad news scenario. Bad news is the cable, when I started taking it off, I noticed it was split down the center, and it was no longer viable. It was splitting. Once the cable, if you see in there, it's like a woven a lot of strands of woven material. once that starts to go, there's really no fixing it. Like, there's no going back from that point. So what we're going to do is, luckily I had an old deck that had a bad motor, I believe, or maybe it was a transmission. I think it was a transmission. It's the one that I'll show later, but it's exactly the same thing as this. And I kept it because it did have a lot of good stuff, had some good cables and everything, which is what we're using now. And we're just going to replace that. This kind of brings up the reason why I'm probably going to post this video. I looked at the cable on this. It's $30 something. I want to say it was $34. Excuse me, I have to look at hand for a minute. $34 is pretty expensive. If you go on the internet and you find one that has a blown engine, motor, rust, transmission doesn't work, I don't know, whatever it is wrong, as long as it's not what you need on it, it can very easily be cheaper, or if not even free, to just go out, buy it, take off the parts, and put it back together. Now, you know, will you have new stuff? No, you won't. It will be used. But it's a cheap way, like I said, potentially even free way of extending the life of your current mower. And I mean, if you're going to buy a new mower, you're going to be going to the store anyway, so you're going to have to take a ride. So it's not like anything's really different. Just take a ride to someone's house, which I guess could be sketchy depending on where you find your stuff, but other than that, you know, it's a good way to save some money. I for instance did get this engine for this whole thing for free, mainly because it also did not have a bag. I don't need a bag. I have a bag, but I knew that the parts on there was well worth the drive that took like 20 minutes to do. So I'm gonna put this back on the handle and then we'll give it a test. Got everything done. In addition to having the cable, also had that clip. So I retensioned it the way it should have been, and it should be fine. Now, as long as the transmission's good, it should be working. The cable moves freely, it should be fine. So let's give it a couple primes. Older Tecumsehs, I like to give them a few extra. Obviously that was not good. We might have a frozen transmission. Let's see what's going on. Unfortunately, apparently you need to turn on your microphone to hear it. So you didn't see me do this, but I took the cover off, took a ratchet, and I put it to tighten. And then on the top of the pulley, there's a bolt, and I just twisted it, and all of a sudden a bunch of crap fell out. So I moved it and cleaned it out, and now it spins freely. So let's give this a second try. But it's not that hard, just clean it out. You just do want to make sure you do tightening. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So if your transmission is not working, check the cable and check the pulley, make sure it's moving correctly. And if all those are working, it could have a bad transmission. I'm not going to replace that because that wouldn't be insanely expensive. In addition to that, if you know that a part is really expensive, cables are notorious for this. Yes, I wanted to go all the way to kill that spider. But anyway, cables are notorious for this, where it's just too expensive. Go online and find something that has an obvious problem that no one else would want it. But if it has the parts that you need, go and get it. Just replace them. It's not that expensive. Usually, I think I remember correctly, I did pay $20 for the other deck. So I have about $20 into this so far, and I still have potentially wheels and a different silver personal pace handle. I also use the bail. So you'd be surprised how often you can get just random stuff that which by themselves seem useless. But when you have a problem like this and you don't feel like spending $35 waiting for 10 to 14 days, I mean, how long is your grass going to get in that time frame? This took me all of maybe 20 minutes. I mean, it'd probably be a little longer because of the camera, but you know, you could do this pretty easily, especially if it's not anything like this. Some of the homeowner ones are, you can just take off one screw and take the cable out and boom, you're done. So, hopefully this helped. Put a thumbs up, subscribe, catch me in the next video, leave a comment. See you later.